For another night in a row, we have a crazy NBA trade. This time, it's involving the Spurs, Kings, and Bulls. The Spurs get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings get Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, 3 first-round picks, and 3 second-round picks. And the Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back from the Spurs. First, let's talk about the Spurs. They finally got their true point guard of the future in De'Aaron Fox, a guy they've been planning to pair with Wemby for a while. He's a young pick-and-roll scorer who can run the floor with Wembanyama, and he's only 27 years old. He's turned himself into one of the premier scorers in the league, using his speed and mid-range mastery to create shots and will. Him and Domantas Sabonis headlined the best offense in the league just 2 seasons ago. Now, imagine what Fox could do with a more dynamic center and unicorn in Victor Wembanyama. I mean, those two would be racing up the court, and their two-man game would be impossible to stop. The Spurs also have 2 legitimate options at the end of games to close games out, and this also takes off less pressure for Wemby as he's just in his second year and growing as a player. Fox has proven his mettle in clutch situations, winning the Clutch Player of the Year award in 2023. The defensive fit between Fox and Wembanyama is kind of intriguing to me. Fox has been becoming a much better defender year over year, and last year he led the league in steals. I don't think he's ever going to be an all-defensive type guard, but he's still a pretty strong defender at the point guard position. And obviously, with Wembanyama behind him, the Spurs could be a top 3 team in turnovers forced. I mean, people were talking about a guy like Trey, but I think having Fox right now and his availability on the market, they had to jump the gun and get him. They did this trade without even giving up Stephon Castle, and the fact that they're able to keep Castle and Wemby alongside a 27-year-old Fox, I think this is the starting of a championship-type roster in the future. Now, just Fox and Wemby with the current roster can probably make the playoffs next year once there's enough games for them to work together, but I don't think they're just going to win a championship off rip. The NBA is too competitive, and the West especially is pretty deep. Now, down the future and as they acquire more talent, I think this can be the start of something special in San Antonio and reliving the glory days in the dynasty. Talking about it from more of a stylistic and basketball perspective, I think Wemby and Fox would be lethal in a pick and roll or pick and pop situation, or even just transition. I mean, Fox is one of the fastest players in the league, and currently the Spurs rank 24th in drives per game. Now, putting Fox and Wembanyama together, not only does this create a bunch of options for Fox to attack at the rim, but also opens up a bunch of wide open shots for Wemby to hit his threes, which is something that he's very good at. And even on the pick and roll or pick and pop, if there's a matchup switch, I mean, no big man in the league can guard Fox, he's way too fast for all of them, and no small guy can guard Victor, he's way too tall and can easily score over all of them. I think that's just like overpowered, right? Having a super fast guard and having a super big multifunctional guy like Victor, who's like the future of the league, having those together, perfect fit in San Antonio from a stylistic point of view. Moving on to the Kings, I mean, it was tough to deal Fox, but the signs were you just had to do it. He had declined a couple extensions, and you just needed to pull the trigger. I know if you're a Kings fan, you're disappointed in the fact that you didn't get Stephon Castle, but I still think they got a pretty solid return. So the 3 first-round picks they got are a 2025 Charlotte Hornets pick, a Spurs pick in 2027, and a 2031 Timberwolves pick that came in the Rob Dillingham trade. The 3 second-round picks are a 2025 Bulls pick, 2028 Nuggets, and a 2028 Kings that's coming back to them. I mean, we still don't really know the protections on these picks, and that's definitely going to change how they get conveyed or where the picks actually land up. Like, I'm pretty sure the Hornets one might be like a top 10 predicted pick, for example. But I'm not going to lie, I don't hate Zach LaVine for the Kings. They're kind of in a weird spot where they have DeRozan and Sabonis, and now adding Zach LaVine, they do get an experienced volume scorer who can shoot very efficiently, and he's bounced back and had a great season this season. I just don't know how it really fits into the future of the team. They're not really tanking. They're not really fully going for it. Like, this team could probably have a good shot at the playoffs, especially how they've been playing well under Doug Christie, but I'm not entirely sure how far they can really go, given how deep the West is or how skilled other teams are. They have some other solid players like Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, but the roster is just not fully there. Now, that's what the 3 first-round picks kind of help for. They kind of have some solidified backup options, and in the case in another year or two where they can maximize the value of these 3 guys and potentially flip them and kind of go in for the all-out tank. Now for the future, they have Malik Monk as kind of their primary initiator or lead playmaking guard, which is kind of a weird role. Like, Malik Monk is a guy we've always known and thought of as a 6th man burst of energy scorer type of guy, and that's his role that he's really developed into the last couple years for the Kings. And he's also started and been a really good scorer, but we've never seen anyone other than Fox kind of lead the helm of this roster, and now I guess Monk is going to do that at point guard. It's a different role for him, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, this roster, it just feels really weird. I don't really know what to think. Like, they have some solid players, but it just feels weird. Like, I can't tell if this team is going to bottom out and trade everybody in a couple years, or maybe they might surprise somebody in the first round. I really don't know what to think about the Kings, and I think they're a team where you'll see what time will tell, and I don't even know if they're done with their trades. Like, there's a couple of days left till trade deadline, and you're not even sure what they do with the stuff. Like, we know, for example, Levine and DeRozan didn't work in Chicago. Are they really going to put that experiment back together? Or are they going to trade anybody? Are they going to get more assets? Are they going to use their picks to try again for another point guard? Very confusing state for the Kings. I guess we'll see how it all pans out, but man, it does hurt to lose Fox, but there's no one you can blame other than the front office, who put him through a bunch of BS and didn't actually prioritize winning for their superstar and best player they've had since DeMarcus Cousins. Now, finally the Bulls. They return is Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, their own 2025 pick via the Spurs. Now those first three players, I'm not gonna lie, they mean nothing. Those guys are pretty decent rotational players in the NBA, but look, they're not going to be a part of the Bulls' future. At some point, I expect the Bulls to flip them for more picks or just let go of them. I think the main thing is that they get their own 2025 pick back from the Spurs, and now they're finally able to tank freely. They can trade Lonzo to another team that kind of needs him off the bench or wherever he's going to be used. They can just trade some of their other players like Vucevic, who's kind of having a rebound season. They can finally tank because no one else holds their pick. Honestly, they can throw the towel, and if anything, Bulls fans will really appreciate that, rather than being the 9 to 11 seed and being a play-in merchant type team every single year. This is what everyone's been saying the Bulls should do for like 3 years now, and it's finally happened. So if you're a Bulls fan, honestly happy with this move. I know you did give up one of your best players over the last couple years for your franchise, a really good scorer, but this also shows the market for a guy like Zach LaVine, and it also shows that you might have waited a little bit too long to trade him, and honestly just getting your own pick back is good enough, and you can take the loss of Zach LaVine, given the fact that you're going to be garbage anyways, and moving along forward with guys like Giddey, potentially Modest Buzelis, who's been alright in his rookie season, hasn't really found his rhythm offensively. Again, the Bulls are also in a weird space, but I think the best thing they can do moving forward is literally just lose a ton of basketball games, and that'll probably help them out more than anything else. And as long as they have a pretty decent pick, they can start. They might not be that great for the next couple years, but if they have like a top 5 to top 7 pick in this draft, they can start building outward, and maybe that's probably better than being in that middle zone. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I know it wasn't super in-depth analysis, but kind of just projecting some different things for these three franchises and looking at how things will play out. Honestly, this one was a shocker. Back-to-back days where the NBA has a crazy trade. Nothing crazier than last night though. We'll be back. 2 videos today, by the way. Yeah, hope you enjoyed. Peace.